Now, the poliovirus has been detected in 2 drainage systems in the northern regional capital, Tamale. The virus was found in a drain in Koble-Magu in the Tamale metropolis and Nyanshegu in the Sanerigu municipality. According to the Ghana Health Services, samples which were sent to the Noguchi Memorial Center for Medical Research returned positive. The Deputy Northern Regional Director of Health in charge of Public Health, Dr. Hilarious Abiu, who disclosed this, said the health service routinely sends samples to the Noguchi Memorial Center for testing as part of their surveillance, adding that the latest return is positive. He said as part of their surveillance, they will keep an eye on children under 15 and the environment. Dr. Abiu added that some investigations are underway to find out the extent of the spread of the virus and also children who have come into contact with the virus.
Part of the surveillance system, we'll keep an eye on children under 15 who are often affected by polio, but we also would keep an eye on the environment because most of these viruses are picked up from the environment. Okay, so as part of the system, we have 2 sites, one in Sanerigu and then the other in Tamale Metro. So every month, we pick samples from these drains and then transport them to Noguchi for testing. So it was one of these routine samples that was taken that we've been informed a few days back that they've isolated, these virus. Okay, so with the detection of the circulating vaccine-derived polio within the environment, we needed first of all to investigate, and the investigation is to find out the extent of the presence of these viruses in the environment, 1. 2, we need to find out whether there are children who are not immunized or who have not been vaccinated against polio in that environment, because if there will be an outbreak, if people will be affected, it is those children who have not had the vaccination that will be affected. We would also want to know whether children who we have even vaccinated have come into contact again with the virus and probably are shedding it, because a number of these vaccines could be spread through inappropriate disposal of waste material like feces. Okay, so if people are defecating in our drains and all of that, it becomes a source. So if
Now, joining us on phone for more on this is the Deputy Northern Regional Director of Health in charge of Public Health, Dr. Hilarious Abiu. Doc, thank you for your time. What does this new detection mean since we were declared a polio-free country some time ago?
Right. First of all, declaring the country as polio-free, it's usually in reference to the wild polio virus. I mean, the polio virus that exists in nature. Okay. But beyond that, periodically, we could have the virus coming from the regular vaccination exercises that we carry out. And so that is the kind of thing we are seeing in the environment. This is not the wild polio virus that exists in nature. So sometimes for persons who have very good immunity, when they are vaccinated with the polio, sometimes they are able to shed, the virus is able to change, and they are able to shed it into the environment through feces and all of that. So we make an effort to keep an eye on the environment, on the presence of these viruses that could be derived from the vaccine in the environment, so that if there is any immediate actions that we needed to take, we'll take them to protect children who are vulnerable from getting it.
Now, since the virus was found in 2 drains, what is it telling us?
Well, the first thing is that there's a likelihood that if you have children within the areas where these viruses have been found who are not vaccinated against polio, then potentially they could get infected and could develop the usual complications of polio, which includes the weakness in the lower limb and sometimes may end up with deformities. So anytime you pick up signal that you have some of these viruses in our environment, you need to quickly investigate to look at the extent of the presence of these viruses in the environment. You need to be sure that all your children who are within the age group that we are looking at are vaccinated against the virus, because once they are vaccinated, then they are protected largely from any adverse effects of these virus. And then you would want to find out where potentially these viruses are coming from. Is it the healthy children that have been vaccinated that are shedding it into the environment? Is it from the disposal of our own vaccines and things like that? So these are all parts of the investigations that we would want to carry out. And depending on the results, we may take additional actions, including, vaccinating children within the environment or where these things have been found.
Now, once they were found in the drains, I'm sure then they are being carried by the water in the drains. So what's a strategy to probably combat a possible spread?
Right. So again, as part of the investigations, one of the things we're going to do is to pick additional samples, along the course of the drain, to see, how far these things are coming from and how far they have gone, downstream. And all these samples will be sent back to Noguchi for, testing to see whether these viruses are still in the drain. Because sometimes it could just be a one-off event, and sometimes you could have it, loitering in the environment for much longer. So once we are on the field, we are picking samples from, various parts of this drain to see the extent of the problem. But like you said rightly, because these are flowing water in the drains, depending on where it got infected from or the things got into the drain, it could go further downstream, and people who come into contact with this downstream could also get affected.
All right. Thank you very much, Doc, for joining us. Dr. Hilarious Abeo is the Deputy Northern Regional Director of Health in charge of public health.